Gea Oswah Fatah Parikesit from Universitas Gadjah Mada.
Okay, welcome to the press conference about the Bundengan musical instrument from Indonesia. My name is Gea Oswah Fatah Parikesit, and this work has been done with my colleague Indra Sumaningtyas. We are both from Universitas Gadjah Mada in Indonesia. The Bundengan is a very peculiar musical instrument. It's mainly made from bamboo, and it has a very strange shape, a dome-shaped resonator, and within this dome-shaped resonator, the musicians would sit cross-legged and pluck some strings and bars. Let us see a sample of the Bundengan music. Okay, and some musicians have found out, have discovered that this musical instrument actually sounds better when it's played under the rain, because originally this instrument was actually a raincoat used by the dog herders. So while waiting for their ducks, they would still sit under the musical instrument and play with their music. And to show you some demonstration, now I will share some Bundengan sound samples to differentiate when it's dry and when it is sound. So first, a sample when we have a Bundengan that is dry. Let us now compare with a wet version of the Bundengan. Hopefully you can sense the difference. Once again, the dry version. So you hopefully could listen that the dry version has a kind of twang sound in it. And now once again, the wet version. The wet version sounds better. It is a more whole sound, and actually it imitates the sound of a metallic gong in the gamelan ensemble in Indonesia. A key element between the dry and wet versions of the Bundengan is the bamboo sheets. This is the material that is used to layer the wall of the instrument. When the Bundengan is dry, the bamboo sheets stay open, and that results in a loose connections between neighboring sheets. In contrary, when the Bundengan is wet, the sheets tend to form a curling shape, but because they are held by ropes, they form a tight connections between the neighboring sheets. So a dry Bundengan have a bad sound because the sheets vibrate separately, while the wet Bundengan have a good sound because those sheets vibrate together. So you can see in the image here on the top, there's an example of an open version of the bamboo comb sheet, and at the bottom you have example of the curled version of the wetted bamboo comb sheets. So because of this shape difference, we have different dynamics of the vibration resulting in different sound. So the bamboo comb sheets are originally there in the bamboo stem, in the bamboo tree, to protect the connections between each elements of the trees. When it is still young, it's still wet, curling, protecting the bamboo stem. And when it is old, it becomes dried, open, and then it becomes detached from the bamboo trees. So as conclusions, Bundengan originally was a raincoat for duck herders. It sounds better when it is wet, and the key material for this phenomenon is the bamboo comb sheets. For further works, we will explore other musical instruments, not just the Bundengan, based on the bamboo comb sheets, or probably even other wetting-sensitive biomaterials. Thank you for your attention. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me.
That was great. I personally really enjoyed learning about an instrument that I'd previously never heard of. So thank you so much for that, Gia. Carrie asks, How dry is too dry and how wet is too wet? Is there a fine threshold that must be maintained, or is any amount of wetness considered musically correct?
Based on the experience, the musicians would prefer to have it really wet, like fully wet. Uh, as comparisons, 5 years ago, we have actually a Bundengan concert in Melbourne, and it was in the middle of the summer. So it was very hot, very dry, and the musicians had to bring along some gardening sprays. So every now and then, while playing the music instrument, he has to spray it again and again to keep it fully wet. So to answer the questions, preferably fully wet.
Gia, do you know how to play the Bundengan?
Yes, I have to because I need to learn to do the research. So it's very difficult because you have two different plucking style for the right and left hand side. The right hand is for the melody, for the string, and the left is for the rhythm to pluck the bars. It's very difficult because it's different from playing the piano, for example.
Mhm. Thank you. Jennifer asks, how does this build on your prior research on this instrument?
Our prior research about the instrument was actually focused on the sound of the string because the string was strangely sound like a metal percussion, and we wondered how it works, right? So the string is equipped with some small bamboo clips, and these bamboo clips add extra mass, and as the result, the sound is more like a gamelan metal gong rather than guitar strings, for example. So the string has been studied well. We have solved the questions about the strings. And then the next question is when the musician said they always prefer to have it wet. And we wonder because from the conservation point of view, wetting is like prohibited, right? It's very problematic. So we would like to know why this one has to be wet.
Thank you. We have a question from Kita. Is the Bundengan still used as a raincoat, or is it primarily now a musical instrument?
It is now primarily a musical instrument because you can imagine there are less and less duck herders in Java because of the industrialization.
Are there any Bundengan instruments made with other materials? Many other instruments have synthetic versions made with modern materials, but I imagine in this case it would be more difficult. And that question is from Avery.
Thank you. We have actually tried different materials. We use like papers, we use other leaves, we used skins, we used plastics as well, but nothing give the same beautiful sound like this one. So we are still learning about the specific materials, why the bamboo sheet is perfect for this application, particular application.
Yeah, thank you so much. And then I think we can quickly sneak in one more question from James Boland. Does wetting the instrument make tuning difficult? Does tuning depend on how wet the instrument is?
No, actually, because the tuning is more sensitive to the string and to the bar condition. The bar is the easiest one. The string is more difficult because the string is not embedded as tightly as in guitars. It's just like being loosely connected. So you have to be very careful, very sensitive with the strings. But as long as the string is being kept stable, then everything is well tuned.
All right, thank you so much. Now we can move on to our next presentation, and the press release accompanying Gia's conference presentation will also be posted in the chat.